let's see, I think I'm back. Looks like I am back, and it looks like it worked. So, whoops, doggone it. Technology, I'm telling you. Okay. Okay, think I'm here. I hope you can see it. Let's see here. I think we're good. I'm going to tip this a little bit. Yeah, we might just have it. Let's see what we get here. Try to get a little more light in here. Well, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a chance to pop on over. I started a little late. I wanted to finish watching Alexis's class, and I can't wait to, I was cutting a few of the papers on the side while I was watching this morning, and I probably should have been getting myself ready. So, hi Mary Pat. But I really wanted to see how she was doing them because they look so fun. So I can't wait to try them also. It's such a great idea for Christmas for sure. So anyway, I'm just going to give a couple minutes. These are the cards we're going to make today, and they're actually pretty quick and simple. They're fun because you get a chance to play with lunar paste, and like I've got some of these, I'm using these pops of color, but if you have like any kind of, you know, like Nouveau drop kind of things, anything like that will work. Stickles gel would be pretty. You could use those as well. I am using lunar paste in Later Gator and Game Over. And I was surprised because I thought this Game Over would be, you know, a little bit more of a purpley color. Hey girl. Hi Linda. But it's really kind of like a darkish maroon, but it's really pretty. So anyway, if you have any kind of purple or blue or pink, hi Kathy, it will work great. And modify your colors, you know, with whatever you've got. But I think purple, pink, fuchsia, blue, all of those would go well with like a green background. And I'm using green foils. So, oh, thank you, Mary Pat. The other thing you want to have on hand, I'll just kind of go through what might help you have success with these cards today. And I'm hoping somebody's playing along, but if not, please kick back, have your Christmas celebration beverage and snacks and watch, and then go back later and watch again and play. This is what it's all about, is some fun time and some beat the heat and stay inside and do something you love. I actually really love that it's really hot outside today. I like the hot weather, but it's too hot to really actually have to be out pulling the weeds that are in my yard and messing around. So I'm really kind of happy that I get to have an excuse to be inside and get a jump start on my Christmas cards. So and all the other things like tags and the gift card holders and just fantastic stuff. So I hope you're enjoying the event. And again, if you're popping in and joining later, welcome at that point in time. You can always message, you know, within the post or the video, just do hashtag replay if you have questions, etc. So anyway, that being said, let's talk about what would be good for you to have on hand. So I already talked about like the pops of color or Nouveau drops, or even like some of the Kraftin Kimmie enamel dots would be fantastic on these. And then I'm using, I'm going to be embossing. I'm going to show you a trick that I wanted to try, and it actually worked out pretty good. And so I embossed the wool on this sheep, and it turned out really fun. So I want to show you how I did that. And by the way, I am using this wonderful, I'm using the Woolly Wonderland stamp set. And I know this is one of Danny's favorite. Hi, Janet. I know this is one of Danny's favorite stamp sets, and actually she's the one that inspired me to get this. And I hadn't played with it yet, which is absolutely ridiculous because now I have a million ideas rolling around in my head. But I used it for the first time, and I specifically chose it so we could play with it, and it is really fun. There's a lot of really fun things you can do with this. I know some people who have Christmas time. I'm so glad, Mary Pat, that you're loving the event. I know some people who have Christmas time anniversaries, and this you and me and you would be so fun for something like that, where you could do like a Christmas themed or a holiday themed anniversary card. And yeah, I do too, Janet. Like, I'm just really kicking myself that I waited so long to play with it, but it's so super fun. And one of the really great things, I've pre-stamped the images just in terms of time because I don't want to go too far over our time, because I know there's bingo right after me, and bingo is super fun. So I don't want to miss out on that. Oh, and it's half price. Woohoo! But this body of this sheep, several of the heads fit perfectly, so you don't have to stamp twice. You actually put the stamp down in your stamp positioner. That's what I use. I have the best luck with. And then just put your head where you want it and do it one time. It's fantastic. And a couple of these sentiments work perfectly within the body or around the body, so that's really fun too. So anyway, okay, back to, I digress. I get so excited about what we have to play with. So we're going to use some pencils. We're going to use some Copic markers. We're going to use some of the Kraftin Kimmie inks. I am using 3 different inks. I'm using Charming Chartreuse, I think I used that one. Lucky Limeade and Fresh Fields are the greens that I'm using. And I'm also using, I've stamped the images in Marvelous Mocha or the Wicked Black Crafty ink. Yeah, Kathy, it is so cute. And if you just really start playing with it, you see all the different ways you can use it, which is super fun. And then let's see. So you really want to have like some baby wipes or alcohol spray on the side to wipe off your stencil quickly. Some paper towels. We're going to get a little bit messy, but it's not bad, I promise. And then I've also got off to the side a square container of some soapy water to throw my stencils in after I use the lunar paste, because I don't want it to set on there. So those are the things you need, in addition to like a blender brush, a blender dauber, a foam dauber, a mini dauber, and I think that kind of covers it. So white embossing powder, I think that's it, heat gun. So I'm gonna just get started. We're gonna start with this card first, because this card just uses inks. And we'll ink it up, and then we'll add the dots, and then we'll set that aside, and then we'll move right into doing the same stencil, the holly stencil. I'm using the holly stencil and the woolly winter stencil. And then we're gonna go right into the holly stencil with the lunar paste. And then we'll throw that in the bin, and then we will do the background of this card with the lunar paste again and the woolly winter stencil. So that's the process we're going to work through, and then we will color. I did very little fussy cutting. I didn't want to like stress you guys out on fussy cutting, so this is the only card we really fussy cut. Everything else uses dies. And if you don't have the shapes or the sizes, use what you got, guys, because it's going to turn out individual and wonderful, I promise. So don't stress about that. So anyway, I'm going to set this kind of over here. I'm going to grab my pieces and parts. Maybe. So first I need, all right, so this is the, these are the measurements. I'm going to stick those up on the side. I posted those in the group as well. We're going to use a craft cardstock base, a cardstock panel craft cardstock panel for the stenciling, and then I've cut out a red foil rectangle, and mine looks really funny because I'm super funny about paper conserving, especially like my more beautiful or a little bit more expensive cardstock stuff or paper stuff. So I cut a big rectangle, a whole rectangle the first time, and then I cut out a middle to use on another piece for maybe some circles so that I could maximize how much I'm gonna get out of it, because why do you need the whole back? You've got this that's gonna cover it. So that's a great way to, thank you, Kimmie, for linking that. That's a great way to, you know, again, get more value for what you've got. And then this rectangle here, I didn't have the exact size I needed, so I'm gonna take this rectangle and I'm going to shorten it up to make a piece that this fits on, like this. So all the sizes were in your, I popped them in my instructions, and then I've also got them kind of off on the side. So we're going to start with, like I said, we're going to start with inking this panel, and I'm going to grab my holly stencil, and with this one I had decided I was just going to kind of do a strip on this side. So I'm just going to kind of line it up where I want it. I'm going to use a couple pieces of Post-it tape so that I don't go way over the edge and end up with a funky little line where I don't want it on my main panel. So I'm just kind of covering that up. I'll use this guy up here. Make sure I got it in there. And then I'm just going to use another piece to kind of hold the stencil down a little bit in case I get a little aggressive with my, I'm kind of one of those heavy brushers. I try not to be, but I am. So I'm going to start with the Charming Chartreuse, say that 100 times quick. And I just have a green blender brush, and because I am covering the dots with the pops of color, I'm not worrying if I get them a little green because the color pretty much covers it. But if you have a smaller brush and you want to just focus on your leaves, do that. And then this is another handy dandy little tool. If you don't have something like this or enamel dots or something like that for your berries, then use a small dauber or Q-tip for the berries, and like use our ruby red acts really great with that. So those are options for you to discover, you know, to figure out how you want to do it. So let's see, this time I'm going to try this foam blender, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to try to focus on just the leaves a little bit, because I'm going to do it this way in case not all of you have, you know, maybe you've got something like this. And so we're just going to do it a little tad different. And one of the fun things about using craft cardstock is it does, to some degree, change how the inks look, and it makes it kind of fun. Craft cardstock is fun with the inks because it almost, and again, depending on your colors, but it almost gives, and I'm not being careful with this because I'm going to go over this again with another color. I just want a hint of the lighter color first. But it almost gives like a vintagey color to the, you know, to the panel because of the card or the craft background. So, and I don't often do vintagey style cards. I love them. But I tend to gravitate mostly more towards bright colors. I seem to be a bright color girl. But man, I love when I see vintage cards. So every once in a while, I just really have to give it a go. And this isn't necessarily going to be vintage. There are ways we could step it up and make it a little more vintage, but it's going to be kind of a softer look. So I've done just a very first, with my foam dauber, very first blush run through with the Charming Chartreuse. Now I'm going to grab the Lucky Limeade, which by the way is one of my favorite greens. I love the Lucky Limeade. I'm not too worried about this dauber. It's an older one, so I'm just going to scooch off a little bit of this green ink, and then I'm just going to go in with the Lucky Limeade. And again, I'm just kind of not paying a lot of attention. I'm just kind of circling through it, just playing, enjoying the ink. I'm going to have a variation of greens within the holly leaves. So just really kind of almost messy, right? But if you're using a bigger brush, what I did when I made the card the first time is I just used the ink and I went over everything. I just went all the way over it, and then I came in with the last color, the darker green, and just put it around the edge of the brush and on the tips of the leaves. And so you can do that as well. And again, because I wasn't worried about covering these up, because I'm putting the pops of color on there. So last, I'm gonna grab this Fresh Fields ink. And again, actually this time I'll use my brush just to show you. So I'm just kind of inking up, kind of toward the top of the head. And I'm just coming in and I'm just giving it a little bit of depth, if you will, I guess is the word I'm struggling to come up with. At the tips a little bit, filling in spaces, not worrying too much. Like I'm just kind of building some kind of a color background, if you will. Not worrying if it's super smooth. My brush is a little hard. I didn't wipe it off before I started, but that's okay. So again, it's just gonna kind of give it a, and if you want your leaves darker, go for it. Like cover them up, sisters and brothers. Cover them up, get them in there. Get that ink in there, get it some variation. And as you can see, I am not being careful. I'm just building, building, building. I really wish I had Christmas music on right now. I'm kind of in the mood. Okay, so there's my greens. And to show you, like if you had a Q-tip or a smaller dauber or a brush or whatever, or if you just don't even want to do it and you have a pencil and you want to know where to put your marks, you could just draw a quick little, fill in your circles really quick and then go back and do it with something. But I'm just going to wipe that off real quick so I don't contaminate my red ink pad. And I'm going to grab that little tiny dauber. And again, I'm only going to do this, I'm doing this for the purposes of demonstrating for you guys, but also because, and I'm not going dark because I know I'm going to cover it up with my pops of color drops. So oops, I got a little bit in the green. Got a little crazy there. You got to be careful. Okay, so you would obviously, if you're doing this and you want it to be red ink, you're going to go a little darker, right? But I'm just messing around because I just want to see where I need to put my red dot. And like I said, I goofed a little bit, but that's the name of the game sometimes, right? So I'm going to pull this off. And we're going to see what we got, which is really pretty. I'm just going to wipe it down real quick. I'm going to use the lunar paste next. And I don't want to mix that red in there, so I'm just going to quickly grab an alcohol wipe. And actually, my alcohol wipes are completely dry. I don't know how that happened, so now I'm going to grab a baby wipe. I use the fragrance-free baby wipes because A, the scent bothers me, and B, it's like I don't kind of trust that when you're putting a perfumey something on your stencil that it might not, ruin it later. So anyway, so I just wipe that off quick so I can have it ready for doing the lunar paste on the next one. So I'm just going to set that aside for a sec, and we're going to quickly come in. I'm going to leave this kind of taped down so it doesn't shift on me. And I'm going to, what am I going to do? Add the pops of color. So I want to test this a little bit first so that I don't end up with a giant red blob. So I want to kind of get the feel for what I'm doing, like how much I'm pressing, just kind of, practice. Not that I'm not going to end up with a big blob. I hope to goodness I don't, but if I do, I do, right? Okay. So let's get this out of the way, and I'm going to start here. So here's another little trick, okay? So when I did my first card, oh, and I better get my glasses on. I can't see what I'm doing. But you don't need to put, depending on where you're going to set your panel, you don't need to put the pops of color behind it because it just A, creates kind of a funky bump, and B, it wastes product. So I'm going to avoid these middle, these two right here. I'm not going to touch those with the pops of color. I'm going to work on the others, but I'm going to get my glasses on. I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, I got to sit down so I can do this. All right, so I'm just, again, squeezing some color in there and just kind of covering up the dot. These things are so fun to use. I just love them. I'm just kind of swirling it in there, covering up the space. Again, I'm going to leave those two alone. Actually, I think, well, actually, I'll do this one. Because I think my color panel, let's see what we need here. My panel, well, I didn't need to do that one, but that's okay. So I'm going to leave these three alone, and I'm going to do the bottom ones. And I might just quickly wipe that off because I know I'm going to cover it, so that way I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so that little wonderful panel is, looks like I could use a little bit better of a berry up here. So I'm going to just put that aside. And so again, obviously the easiest thing is to use the like dots, enamel dots, because then you don't have to worry about dry time, etc. But I liked the fun shimmer that this gave the card, a little bit of depth and difference. And then I'm going to grab my green Prismacolor pencil. Probably should have done this first. Hopefully I'm not going to stick my finger in it. And I just added like a swoosh in the leaf, just to give it, I don't know, some more definition, let's say. So I apologize, I probably should have had you do this first. Hopefully you have a steady hand. But if you end up with some smearing, I sincerely apologize. And I'm sure that I can help you find a crafty solution to the boo-boo, because I make lots of them. And I usually have some sort of trick for how you cover your boo-boo. Oops, I don't need to do these middle ones because they're covered, so. Ah, I kind of screwed up here. Okay. Ah, did you get it? It sounds like one of those sheep. Okay, so there we go. I like how that looks. It's kind of soft, it's kind of pretty. We're gonna cover up, oh, this one isn't gonna be covered, so let's fill it in. Okay, so there we're gonna take this and we're gonna set it aside, and we're gonna let those drops dry. They don't take a super long time. It depends on how big of a blob you put on there, I guess, but I'm gonna put that way off to the side. And now I'm gonna grab my next card's panel. Where did I put it? Let's see here. Hold, please. Let's see, I thought it was organized. Okay, my next card panel is right here. This one is, the size for my second card panel is, so I used 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. And the reason I cut it that size is so that I would have, you know, some good edging, because I use this fun detail. But if you have a 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 panel, it will work just fine too. My paper cutter gives me, you know, those little 1/8 and 1/16 inches. So anyway, so we're gonna take this one now and we are gonna use the lunar paste. And I'm so excited to use the lunar paste, but it looks like I gotta get up and go get my little spatula. thing really quick. So I'm just kind of lining up where I want this to be. And I'm actually going to do it on my glass mat because I want to use my paper for inking. So hang on here. Let me move this over. And let's put this down. Grab my knife. Hang on. Okay, so I'm using just a little spatula, and then I'm using a I just don't know how things sit right in front of you and you can't find them when you're looking for them. Oh, here it is. And I'm also using this, I don't know, scraper? I don't know what you call it, scraper thing. So I'm just gonna kind of pick where I want, and I want a little bit of leaf everywhere. I don't really want my berries to be too far off the edge just because I'm fussy about that. And then I'm gonna tape this down just so the stencil doesn't move around a lot. And you certainly could use, you know, like a pixie spray or something like that to stick your stencil down tighter. But and here's what I'm going to tell you. Kim has got these on a fantastic price, right? She has so many of these Christmas goodies on a fantastic price. I really, really love when I can to have one stencil. I like to have two of every stencil because I like to have one stencil that I can use for just regular inks, and I like to have one stencil that I can use for paste, because the paste doesn't always, and I think I might have that upside down. Let me see, I'm feeling. I do have that upside down. So the paste don't always come completely off. And sometimes, especially when you're using like a glitter paste, right? You don't always get it completely cleaned off. So if you then go to ink, you may end up with some sparkle in your brushes that doesn't come out. And I've had that happen to me many times. So I guess what I'm telling you is, if you love to play with pastes and gels and glitter and stencils, these stencils, even when they're not on sale, are such a fantastic value for stretching your crafty goodies. But when they're on sale, it's an even better opportunity to grab them so that you can have one of each. So that's my little pitch for you. That's my crafty enabler, honest, help you out kind of thing. So I'm going to take, I've turned my panel sideways because my second card is landscape version. I'm grabbing my later gator stuff, and I am not worrying about these berries because I'm going to cover them up, right? I'm just going to go over the whole thing. So I'm going to put a little blob of the paste here, here, here. And then I'm also going to put some, a little bit more there. Then I'm going to put some kind of in here. I'm just putting some blobs around so that I can spread them easier. It's just, I don't know, it works easier for me. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to end up putting more on there, but let's see what happens with this. So then I grab my scraper tool. I don't know what it's really called, but that's what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to grab this, and I'm just going to gently press the inks in. Oh my gosh, it's such a fun it's just so fun. It feels like, I don't know, therapeutic kind of. So you just kind of keep pushing it down, and it also like allows you to have a little bit more even pressure, if you will. So, and then it's not so bad when you have to go back over a spot, which I can see I missed a few. So I'm just going to scrape a little bit of this ink off here. I'm going to put it in the places where I see that it's kind of gapping, and the bottom is always a little bit of a challenge for me. By the time I get down there, I feel like I'm kind of missing it a little bit. What you don't really want to do is go back and forth. Like, you want to stay as much as you can in the same direction. But with lunar paste, because it's so shimmery, it doesn't really matter. Like if you go back and forth, I found, because I did it a few times. Okay, so down here at the bottom, just kind of getting it in there. There we go. Okay, and I'm just still not getting this bottom piece, so I'm just going to get it in there a little bit with my scraper. There we go. All right, I got it. So this stuff does dry pretty quick, so you don't want to mess around too long about getting it off your stencil. So let's grab this stencil. We're going to lift it very carefully because you don't want to like really yank it up and then smear it. But if you do, you do, right? So we're just going to grab it. We're going to pull it up. Just kind of a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to toss it in the water. There we go. Okay. Then I'm going to ever so gently lift this guy off my mat for a sec just to move it. And I'm going to wipe this up quickly. So paper towel first. Okay, just to make it easier, get as much as you can in one big swoop. I'm going to wipe my scraper buddy thing off. I've got my little whatchamadoodle tool in the water too. Let's see here. Gosh, I got much more of a mess going on than I thought I would. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to use my baby wipe on this too because I want to use it again soon. And again, the trick is quick. Like you don't want to let it sit too long because it does set up, and then it will come off with like Dawn Power Wash or something like that, and a little bit of, you know, fingernail tool scraping. But the faster you can get it off, the better, right? Just then you don't have to mess around with it later. And it will, like, it's not easy to get off a stencil once it's set. So just kind of FYI on that, guys. Okay, let's move this off to the side. We got that drying. We're not going to add the pops of color on that one till later. I need like a big garbage bin over here. Okay, all right. Okay, so next, we got those two things going on. Let's make our third panel with the lunar paste so that we can let it dry as well. And that is a white cardstock panel. And the size of that is 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches. 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches. Oh, Kathy, I know what you mean. Like I bought several, and I was because I played like one time in a class, and then I hadn't done anything. So last year when I went to Kimmie's retreat in Canada, she asked me if I'd do a stencil class, and I was like, oh yes. And I wanted to purposely chose paste and things like that to play with because it gave me an excuse to practice for one, and it knocked down that intimidation. And the thing is, they're messy, but they're so much fun. Like, I don't know, just the satisfaction when you do it. And the butters are just like, truly like, the reason they're called butters is because they feel like butter. They're amazing. I love them so much. Okay, let's see here. Talkie. I'm a chatty person. Let's see here. I'm going to grab my... Okay, so this time we're doing the Woolly Winter. I am going to move this out of the way just in case I don't want to end up with some weird color on there. And now we're going to grab, let's see, this one's an up and down orientation, but you could, after you do it, you could turn it however you wish. I'm going to grab my stencil. I'm kind of feeling to make sure I'm getting the side that's less sharps. Oh, there it is. I couldn't find it, but the front side is where you see the little insignia of the Kraftin Kimmie stamps. Move it up there. It's right down at the bottom. So I'm just going to stick it on there so I kind of like the layout of what I've got. And again, I'm going to hold that down. Oops. I'm going to hold that down with some tape. just so I don't get crazy and lose it. And this time I'm just rotating my tape since I've already got the stencil butter from the green stuff on there already. So let's see. And like I said, it dries pretty quick. Okay, so this time we're going to use, I'm using, again, Game Over. Same process, so I probably won't talk as much as I did the last time. Lucky you. But I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to put, you know, a blob. Oops, this one wants to move a little bit more. A blob. A blob. And you honestly don't probably need near as much as I'm putting on there. Actually, you don't. I know you don't need near as much as I'm putting on there. Some people also put it on their stencil pal. I finally remembered the name. The stencil pal. Some people put it directly on their stencil pal, like along the edge instead of on the paper. And I've tried it both ways, and it works either way. Really, it does. So again, just grabbing it, I'm kind of moving my stencil pal over to get a little bit more spreadage on the ink. I'm pressing down. It's like, you guys, if you're playing, it's so fun. It's so smooth. It's like so satisfying. And watching the magic of it come through the stencil is like, whoa, I love it. Okay, so this one actually went way easier than the last one. Practice, 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 right? Okay, so, and don't press terrible hard because you will end up with streaks, but you don't want you don't want to leave it too thick on there either. So scraping that off, putting it back in the jar. And you know what? These little jars of paste go like a long way. They really do. They're really quite cool. Okay, so stencil paste done. Let me grab a baby wipe. Sorry to have my arm in the way. And we're gonna quickly, I'm gonna pull that stencil up in about 2 seconds. And you're probably gonna end up with very colorful fingers today. Sorry about that, but just think about all the fun you're having with the colorful fingers. Okay, so, okay, so I'm just gonna start peeling this up. And sometimes you kind of got to give it a little bit of a jog. There we go. Oh, so pretty. It worked so good. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these 2 pieces of tape. I'm gonna throw that stencil in the water. Water. I'm gonna clean this guy off a little bit just so I don't have so much gunk in the water. And I'm gonna throw it in the water as soapy water as well, off to the side. Okay, and this I'll clean up a little bit better later. All right, so voila, right? Let's see, so I need to pick this one up ever so gently, find a corner that I can pick up. And I'm going to move this off to the side as well so that it can dry. Uh-oh, I got that on my placemat. Oops. Oh well. Okay, so cleaning this up quick so we can get going on the next thing. I have got a mess you guys can't believe in the background. Pretty, yeah, thank you. The amazing tool. So Kathy, it is called a stencil pal. Kimmie periodically is able to get them in the shop. It comes with like a couple of spreaders and the stencil pal tool. And it makes using stencil paste and butters and glitters so much easier because it gives you kind of that more even pressure. And so I really like it for that reason more than any reason, but it's most handy for really large, like if you're doing a large panel of color. If you're doing just small chunks of the stencil, like pieces and parts, then it's great, but your little tools work just fine too. So, okay, so we're gonna go into the rest of things. While that's drying, we're gonna grab our, let's see, this little lamb I've pre-stamped. So again, I chose the body of the, I used the body stamp, and then I placed the head in the middle and I stamped it in my positioner. Got it all done in one fell swoop. And we are gonna just color this one with Copics, and I used a W series of markers for that. I have a W1 and a W3 for the body, and then the what do I want to say? The leaves of the holly. I have a combo of YG, I'm trying to think, YG 67, 17, and 45. Any green's going to do because it's all holly, right? So let's do the holly first just to be able to have done that. So I'm going to start with the YG 45. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to color, they're small. So I'm just going to add definition with the other colors after I color all of these with the YG 45. And the thing about coloring on craft paper, if you haven't done it before, is it looks darker at first. Oops, I almost colored her ear. It looks darker at first and then it lightens up. So it's fun. I like coloring on crafts sometimes, especially with Copics. So I'm avoiding the berries as much as I can, but I'm going to cover them up with some pops of color as well. And I'm coloring all these spaces green. It's you can see I'm not paying attention to shading right now. I'm just filling in all of the holly leaves. Okay, so there's that. Can you see kind of how this side looks lighter than that one? You may not be able to online. Thank you. Okay, so then I'm going to grab my YG 17. And again, you do not need to do this. I'm just doing it because I think it's kind of fun. And I'm just giving some of the leaves a bit more definition. Maybe I'm making some of them, I'm just kind of going around the edges a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do, I changed my mind. I'm filling some in with this little darker color, just so that we have some variation in the leaves. So kind of filling in a few of these randomly, not paying a lot of attention to which ones I'm doing, why, where, how, who, any of those things. Oops, I got a little bit crazy there, but that's okay. I'm going to cover that dot. Okay, this is the YG 17. Okay, and then I'm going to take, and I'm not worrying about the fact that I got this on her face because I have another face stamped. Oh, sorry. Yep, this one I do worry about. That's the other one I'm doing it, but it'll push out. I'm not too worried about it. I forgot. I thought I was going to fussy cut a face on top of this one, but it's the next card. Okay, now I'm using YG 67, and now I'm coming in and I'm just giving a few of the leaves a little bit more darkness around the edges. My hands tend to shake a lot when I do these lives. I don't know why. It's not like I don't feel nervous, like we're just among friends, but my hands really shake. It's just kind of funny how that happens. Actually, it's not funny. I don't really enjoy it, but that's okay. And I'm just kind of going around the edges. I'm just giving it a little bit more definition. That's it, just a little. Okay, so I think I'm done playing with that. And now we can move on to the sheep's body. So what I did for the sheep is I started with a W, what have I got here? I've got a W1 and a W3. So the W1, I just went all around. I'm going to go around the face here real quick in hopes that I can kind of push that green back a bit because it's a lighter color. So I'm going to do that quickly. There we go. And then I'm going to just follow the artist's lines around the body. I've pre-cut this panel, so I stamped it and then I pre-cut it to the size I wanted it to be. I was trying to, because I know how much I talk, so I was trying to minimize the amount of extra stuff we did in the class to extend it too long. I always like kind of panic when I get bingo right after me or something because I don't want to make it late, and I know that bingo is so fun. So I'm just going around it again, just to give it a little more definition. And I'm not being super careful. I kind of like that it's kind of wiggly. Now I'm coloring in the legs. And you notice I just went around the face. I didn't color the face all the way in, but you sure could. If you wanted your sheep to have a little bit, you know, darker face, you sure could color it in. So now I'm taking this same marker and I am just dotting everywhere. And I mean dotting, like little tiny, I'm not pushing really hard. You could do some hard, some soft. You could do, like, this is just a free-for-all. And you don't want to, like, scrape when you dot. You literally want to go up and down, up and down, up and down. Like you're just kind of like a little tiny mini jackhammer. And sometimes you might want bigger dots, and sometimes you might want smaller dots. But try not to, like, as you dot, swoosh, which I just did there, as I told you, try not to. But if you do, like, here's the beauty. Like, you're on the craft. It's going to show up lighter. It's fur, right? Or wool, not really fur. Wool has no absolute, I'm not an expert on sheep, but I'm going to say that wool doesn't have any absolute pattern or whatever. Basically, what we're going for is just texture and fuzziness. That's what we're doing. Texture and fuzziness, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that was W1. And now I'm going to take the W3. Oops, wrong end. I always open the wrong end. Okay, now I'm taking the W3, and I'm just going to come under here, because there's a little bit of shading from the wool, right? And I'm going to come down the side. Whoops, shaky, shaky hands. I'm going to put a little bit of shading right here because you kind of got one leg in front of the other maybe. And then just up again. And then I'm just quickly going to add just ever so, I'm not going to get terribly aggressive about this, but I'm just adding a few more tiny dabs and dots of the W3 in where I had the W1. And then, you know, if I think it needs more, I can go back in with the W1 and add more. But I kind of like the way it looks. I think we're okay. So now I'm going to do her nose. And I didn't grab the pink that I used. So this time I'm just going to use this RV52. I'm going to give her a pink nose, and I think it's a her. I don't know why, but I do. I think it's a her. Could give her little eyelashes if we wanted to. All right, so she's done. We're going to add pops of color after we get her down on the panel. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot. And I hope this works. We'll see. Hope it's not so close it makes you dizzy, but we're going to try it and see what happens, right? Okay, so I'm going to take that red foil panel that I had, and I'm going to cut it down a little bit so that it fits where my, I want it to fit this. And I actually really do know the size, but I'm just showing you kind of how to get it together. So I'm going like this so I can see what I've got. And then I'm going to take this die, I'm going to let the top of it hang over. I want to just get it right where the paper ends, basically. Okay, and then I'm going to slip that out of there. It's a little fussy. Hopefully I'm going to keep it in there. Okay, that's where I want it to be, but I want to kind of pay attention to trying to line it up. I might get a little bit of double dots on there, but I'm okay with that. It's all right if it ends up that way. There, and then I'm going to run it through. So whenever you need to make something a little bit different, it's kind of that leave your die hanging over. Let me move this so you can see this a little better. It's the leave the die part that you don't want to cut something hanging over the edge or off the end of it. So there's that panel. I'm going to move this aside. We'll use it again in a minute, but let's just get it out of the way for now. Okay, so if you, oops, goodness, if, can't pick it up with my fingernails. Okay, so if you wanted to, again, paper conserve, since this is going to be covered fully, you could do like another smaller circle or square or dot, you know, whatever, heart, because you're not going to see it, right? So again, that's another little tip. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to put it down on the paper. I got some art glitter glue that I'm using. Am I in frame? Not in frame. Here we go. Let's get back in frame here. Okay. So I'm just putting it around the edges. Okay. And then I'm going to put it on this panel. And let's see here. Coolio. There we go. We did it. It looks pretty darn cute. Now I can put some of the pops of color around the holly, or you could use your red Copic or pink. If you've used pink, that works too. I'm just gonna, these are tinier, so they're not as easy to do. I'm gonna start, should I start from the top? Yeah, I better start from the top. So starting from the top, and actually, you know, because I'm not quite staying in the lines, I could have probably colored red, the berries, just quickly dotted them with a red Copic so that when my pops of color don't go on super evenly, you don't see the white or you don't end up with a big blob, but I'm going to be okay with it. I think it's fine. I might give it a little bit bigger berry up here, see if I can. Oh Lord, I hope I don't end up with a giant blob. Whew, I did it all right. Whew, okay. So then also, I'm gonna just grab, thank you, Natalie. I'm just gonna grab my black gel pen, which by the way, I was like 57 years old when I found out that there was actually a black gel pen. I was so excited. So I'm gonna grab my black gel pen, and I just want her eyes to be a little more defined. So I'm just kind of coloring in her eyes so that they're a little shiny. And then I'm going to, after that dries, I'm going to give it a little dot with my white gel pen. But okay, so for now I'm going to set that aside because we still have our panel drying. And so I'm just going to pop that up, and we're going to work on our sheep for the next card, which I need to find my pieces and parts again here. Let's see, I'm going to move this aside. Okay, this one's fun. Let me put this up here. Where's the card? Here's the base. Where is the actual card? again, I have it sitting somewhere, and oh, I found it. Jiminy Christmas. Okay, so this is the second card that we're gonna work on. We're gonna work on the sheet for this one, and this is really fun. So this one I've pre-stamped with the Marvelous Mocha ink, and we are gonna, and then we're also, I stamped the face again separate because I want to cut just the little face out and pop it up so it looks like the face is actually sticking out of, thank you Mary Pat, so that the face looks like it's actually sticking out of the holly wreath around their neck. So hey Sabrina, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you? Doing good? So we're going to just start by doing the embossing on this first and getting that done. And so a couple things I talked about in my instructions. One is I'm using this Versamark watermark pen. If you don't have a watermark pen, you can use, oh my God, black pen. I know, Penny, that's exactly how I felt too when I found out. I was like, what? My mind was blown, and it is so fun. I use it all the time. So you can also use a watermark pad and like a Q-tip, which I'm going to grab really quick because we're going to try that since some of you may not have this pen, but I can show you both ways. All right, so we are going to fussy cut, but we don't want a bunch of the powder to get on our, oh my gosh, you can't even see what I'm doing. You don't want to get a bunch of the powder on the, you know, the face, well, the face doesn't matter because we're covering it up, but the holly. So you want to make sure that you are using a, you know, a good amount of, you know, the embossing, what do you call this stuff? Static powder, I guess. Words are hard sometimes, you guys. Sometimes I just hope that people can kind of rely on my fill in the blank fumbling, but I'm going to just make sure that I am covering this really good. I don't like this particular one because it has a really strong scent and it makes me cough when I use it. There's lots of embossing powders out there, but okay, so I probably overdid it, but I do not want to get it on my little lamb face. So then let's see, I'm gonna need to grab a piece of scratch paper though. Hold on. Okay, so I also need just a piece of paper so I can dump my powder back in there. So I've done that. I guess I could tap it a tiny bit. All right, so let's try the Q-tip and the Versamark pad trick. The thing about this is it dries pretty quick. So, and I'm just using a Wow embossing powder in white. It dries pretty quick. So when you're using the pen, a couple things you can do is you can do like a section and then quickly zap it and do another section, or you can just work really fast, dotting really fast, and then emboss it once, and if you missed a bunch of places or it dried too quick, go back in and fill in where you missed, which is kind of what I did here. So I had like, I think I did a couple of tries on this one because I missed a few places. So anyway, let's try the Q-tip trick though, because maybe it'll work and it'll be kind of fuzzy. So you're just kind of pouncing it in there. Try not to go straight down because you want it to look fuzzy, right? And I started out by doing a perfect little pounce. So more on the side maybe of the Q-tip. And again, oh, I don't know, it's drying so fast. So I may end up having to fill in with the pen, but again, you know, kind of one of those little tricks that if you didn't know that there was an embossing pen, like you didn't know that there was a black gel pen, then I just taught you something new and you're welcome. It'll make your life so much easier, I promise. Okay, so I'm just pouncing, And I'm trying not to get too crazy, but you know, and I'm trying to avoid my holly. I don't want to get it on my holly because I'm going to color it with my pencils. And it's okay if you go a little outside the body part because we're going to fussy cut around it, but totally up to you, right? So here I am again. So I'm just dabbing it on this side. I want kind of a fuzzy look. And I'm trying to go really fast, but I can see some of this is drying. That's okay. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. It's going to be good, 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 good. Okay, so, all right, here we go. Let's dump some embossing powder on there, and I lost my paper. I so carefully folded. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna dump some embossing powder on there. And whoops, man, I really dumped it on there. That's okay, that's what happens. So we're gonna pounce it on there. Oh, hey, you know what? I think that's gonna look okay. Looks like we might wanna fill in a little bit with the pen after we dry it the first time. But let me quickly get rid of this so I don't make a giant catastrophic mess with this stuff. I mean, I'm going to just step off to the side. Yeah, I know, Kathy. Do you have a black gel pen? You need one of those too. Trust me, they're pretty awesome. Okay, I'm just going to step off to the side and quickly emboss this. So I'll be right back. Actually, maybe I can try and show you. Let's see here. Waiting for it to dry. Ouch. Okay. Let's see what we get here. Can you see this at all? There it goes. Ow! Burning my finger. Okay, so there's that. And like I said, I can see that there's quite a few that I missed. So now I'm going to grab my pen. And there's on this particular pen, it's so fluffy. On this particular pen, there's a very fine end and then there's the bigger end. And since I've kind of already, I'll do a combo of both. But again, with the pen, because it's such a tiny dot, it dries really quick. So maybe you wanna do, like I'm gonna do this. I'm using the more pointed end because we've already got some big pieces. Oops, I might have got the holly on that one, but I'll be okay with that. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna quickly add a little bit of powder to there. And I lost my paper. Doggone it. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna add, well, before this gets too set, I'm gonna put a little bit of powder on there. Okay, and then I'm gonna work, I'm just gonna shift this a little bit. And pray to goodness I don't spill it all over the place. And then I'm gonna work some more in here. Oops, I keep going off frame, I'm sorry you guys. So I'm just now dotting more in here because I want it to be pretty, it's okay the way it was too, you know, like it's fine, but I'm just messing around, so. And I don't want to get, it won't be the end of the world if I get a little of that embossing powder on the end of this, but I'm trying not to do that. Okay, now I'm going to put some more powder on the rest of this. And this time, my dogs might bark. It sounds like my husband and son just got home. So this time I am not going to like do it in front of you, but I'm going to go give this another zap with the heat gun and I will be right back. So hang tight. Hi guys. Okay, look at that. Isn't that cool? Look how cool that turned out. All right, now we're gonna color that with colored pencils. And I've got 3 colors of green, and I've got 2 colors of sort of a tan. And so we'll start with the wreath. And I chose 3 just so I'd have some variation. So just kind of pick which, you know, this is the lighter of the 3. This is a PC 989. Use any green, use any combo of greens. It's up to you completely. So I am just randomly coloring in some of the lightest ones. And where I got the embossing on the holly leaves, I'm just avoiding, I just don't, you know, it's okay. I just color up to the embossing, so it's fine. All right, so there's that color. Then I'm gonna grab the next color, which is a PC 912, and I'm gonna come in and color. And you can, I'm not, you know, I may later spend some time going back in and adding a little, you know, another coat, if you will, another blush at it. But for now, for the sake of time, I am just doing it once, kind of once and done, and maybe touching up a couple ends for you, just to, so you can see what they look like. And actually that was probably first, so I'm gonna leave that alone. I'll use my white gel pen too. That's another thing. So where your embossing still looks spotty, you can come in with your white gel pen and fill in more dots with your white gel pen. And I'll show you, I'll do that since I accidentally colored part of its body the wrong color. Colored it green because I was not paying attention to what I was doing. Bless you, Isabel. Okay. So let's see, I think that works. And then I will come in with the darkest green, which is a PC 909. And I'm just gonna fill in the rest of the leaves. I don't color a lot with colored pencils. I am absolutely not super comfortable with colored pencils. But again, it's kind of like coloring with Copics. Like initially when I started learning to color with Copic markers, I was not comfortable at all, but it was so much fun that I just kept practicing. And I watched some videos, and I took a class or 2 from Elise with Kitten Clowder, and you know, watched and practiced and you get more comfortable. So I tend now, when I color with pencils, to choose smaller images that I don't have to worry too much about layering things, and you know, not too big of an area where it looks kind of like I've colored with crayons. But I like pencils. I like to play with them sometimes. So, and they're fun to use on craft paper too. But I'm not being, I guess I'm telling you this because I want you to know that typically, probably, I would be a little more careful about how I'm coloring, but I'm just getting the color down. And it would be fun to go back in and give it, you know, a little shading or depth here or there, which I may do if we have time. I don't want us to run completely out of time. I've colored over the berry, but that's okay because we're going to put some color on there anyway. The one thing you want to keep in mind, I don't know, you've probably heard this before, or maybe you know it, but just so you know, you want to, if you're going to use a combo of colored pencils and Copic markers, you want to, now I'm just kind of coming in, I forgot one here. You want to make sure you use your Copic before you use your pencil, because the pencil will mess up your Copic tip. So you want to make sure you do that first. Okay, so I think I've got a pretty good variation. Now I'm just kind of filling in a little bit. I said I wasn't gonna, but it's bugging me, so I'm gonna do it. Fill in a little bit of color variation on these lighter leaves. Put a little bit of more in there for those. And then I'm going to grab that other color I used and also add a little bit of, oops, smooth it out a little bit. So this again is the PC 912, and I'm coming over where I created kind of a harsh line on the lighter leaf and just blending it in a little bit. And I found one of the things I'm learning is that you need kind of a softer touch when you want to blend your markers. And that for me is challenging. I'm a press it real hard kind of person. But the paper texture makes a big difference too, in the sense of helping you control how hard you press. And so that matters. So if you really want to learn pencils and play with them more, as I would like to, also try out some papers. Like, seriously, like, because different papers color differently, and you will color differently on different papers. It's kind of a, whoops, I got a little carried away on there. You'll be more comfortable with some and less comfortable with others. So, so just keep that in mind. Like, it's not a buy one kind of paper and that fits perfectly for you. And same for Copics. Like everybody, so many people use so many different variations of Copics. So, all right, I think I've about done as much damage as I can do on this one. So I'm going to let that be, and then I'm going to color her body. Hi, Patty. Thank you. So I'm going to let that be on the body, and now I'm going to come in with a PC 1072. It's a 50% French gray, and I'm going to color the legs. And I'm just, again, I'm not being a perfect colorist. Getting a color one layer down. And then I'm going to reverse and I'm going to go up. Because I don't want it to be streaky, but I don't want it to end up waxy either, so. Okay, so I didn't color the face because I have this face. Oh, thanks, Patty. Yeah, I thought it was really fun to do it that way. So this face I'm going to color separately because I'm going to cut out just the face on this one. And it's going to get popped up on the body. So I'm just coming in. Trying to be smoother with the coloring on this one because it's the face. Doing little circles, sometimes doing lines, just kind of keeping it soft. And I'm trying really, really hard not to press too hard. The thing about circles too is if your circles get too big, then you end up with kind of this white space. But in this case, it's okay because lambs are fuzzy, right? Sheep are fuzzy. So kind of filling in the spaces. It's okay if it's a little bit swirly because it's fuzzy. And then, so on this one, because I am going to cut it out, I'm so glad, Mary Pat, because I am going to cut it, and in case I cut it a little shy, I'm just going to quickly go around the edge of the ears, and I'm not at all paying attention to how perfectly I'm doing it. I'm just getting it down so that if I cut or stick it down a little bit crooked, I'm not stuck with this funky white obvious area where I messed up, right? So this way at least the color would be behind it. So I'm just doing that so I get that in there. Then I'm taking this darker PC 1074, which is 70% French gray, and I'm going around the edge a little bit of the leg. I'm going under the fur, the wool, I keep saying fur, for some shading around this part. I'm going in the middle a little bit because you got a leg, and then I'm kind of going darker like it's got some feet down here. Like I said, not a master colorist. This is not a coloring class. Ah, thank goodness. I'm much better with my Copics, but I wanted to play and I wanted you to play. So there's that. And so on the face, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit more shading under the ear. I got to turn it. Sorry, guys. Thank you, Kathy. Going to color this a little bit on the ears, on the edge, and I'm going to give it a little bit more. Okay, I need to stop this. I'm going to give it a little bit of shading on this side of its face. I'm just going to fill it in a little bit. And then I'm going to come up just a tad along the edge. And again, under the ear a little bit. Around the berries a little bit. Although it'll probably get covered up, but just in case, okay? All right, and then I'm gonna grab this lighter again, and I wanna blend it just a little bit. I don't want too harsh of a line. And that looks pretty smooth, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna be okay with that. Okay, so then I'm going to cut this out. Before I do that though, oh yeah, so I'm gonna use the black gel pen on the eyes and the nose, but I'm gonna cut the face out, and we'll wanna cut the body out, so we might as well do that quick, so. And because I want to put it down right on top of the other, I'm literally just trying my best to follow the exact line, oops, I went off the ear a little bit, sorry, my camera is kind of way up high, so I have to stretch my arms out to show you. I didn't set that up very well. I'm going to chop this berry off because I've got one underneath it, and it's going to get covered up anyway, so then I don't have to cut around the berry. Okay. Okay, there's the face. And then it's going to get popped up with some little foam dots on there. Let me get that out of the way. The body. So this is fun. I mean, like, you just are going to kind of follow around And you don't have to worry about being super precise, right? Just kind of follow around it. This is not a terribly difficult one. And because the wool, I said it right that time, is, you know, not perfect, you don't have to worry about fussy cutting around it perfect either. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of a fun one to mess around with. And I'm trying not to, I don't want to go right on the line. You could, I mean, if you went right on your line, it would just make it look like it's more fur, you know, oof, I did it again, more wool and, you know, and no lines. Like it just looked like a big cotton ball. Isabel, you're going to have to just wait a minute. I'm in the middle of something. So, yeah, so like this anyway. Totally up to you. I guess my point is if you chop off one of the corners too tight around the inking, don't worry about it. And if you want to give yourself more room around it, that's fantastic. Do that too. Either way, you got an option. I know, fussy cutting's not my favorite. Sometimes it's relaxing. You know, it just depends. When I fussy cut, I try to do things that aren't super involved to have to fussy cut. So I told you that we could fill in, Isabel, you have to wait. I told you we could fill in, my husband's home, so of course she always waits till he walks in the other room. But you can just fill in where you missed spots with your white gel pen. And I'm literally just kind of dotting. And I don't know why I'm doing this. It doesn't really matter. There's some fun spots in there, but I just wanted to show you another way if you felt like it was really patchy or you wanted to add a bit more. This is another, and this adds a different kind of texture. So this is kind of fun too. Okay, there you go. Now let's pop up the face on our sheep. Yeah. You know, the truth though is, Kim, about your stamps is that most of them, honestly, truthfully, are really easy to fussy cut. It's just about a preference because a lot of people absolutely love fussy cutting, and the more I do it, the more I like it. But I generally like it to be quicker and just pop stuff out. But I've never really been bothered by the fact that a Kraftin Kimmie image doesn't have a die at all. Izzy, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry, but I am gonna have to let this little stinker out. I'll be right back. Come on. Go on, out. Okay, back to business. Okay. Get myself situated here again. All right, so I'm gonna pop the face on this one up real quick. I loved how fast and easy Alexis used those tweezers of hers today when she was pulling the tape off her, or the backing off of her tape. Like, she was a pro at that. I'm like, man, you know how to work those tweezers. That was awesome. I gotta get me a pair of those because little nubby nails don't really do it. And so another trick that I like to do with dots is put a little tiny bit of glue just so it doesn't set too terribly fast if I accidentally plunk it down in the right spot. I have a little bit of room to play, and so I'm just gonna fit this right over where the other part is. I'm just gonna kind of look to make sure I don't have any weird edges, which I don't see any. And then I'm going to add, let's see, I'm gonna do the red dots first, and then I'm gonna add I gotta let the other dog out. Sorry, hang on. Okay. Yeah, truth be told, I would get rid of every die I own if I had a scan and cut. Seriously. I've wanted one forever, and that would just be the dream for me to have that. Okay, so I'm gonna put the pops of color. I probably should have left that one on there, but that's okay. Okay, I kind of messed up my first one, but that's okay. It's kind of blobby, but I'm gonna live with it. It's all right. You have a scan and cut and still use lots of dies. Yeah, I have too much of an investment in my dies to truthfully get rid of them all, but it would be fun to be able to, you know, as I'm buying, not have to buy them as I move forward. So here's our black gel pen again, and I'm gonna do the eyes and the nose. And because I kind of lost a little definition of the mouth, I could use my, oops, I forgot, I gotta write that off. I could use my micro liner, and I could just draw a quick little line right there. So there's our sweet little lamb. You're selling a thinking it's selling it? Oh, wow. Okay. So there's our lamb. Isn't she wonderful? I'm going to set her aside. And let's see, I'm looking at time. I want to make sure we can assemble things, but quickly, this panel that we did is pretty much dry. I want to add the red dots to that quickly. And again, sort of the same idea. We've got the lamb over here. We're going to have the circle. We're going to have the ba. So we want to kind of pay attention, I guess, so that I don't get it under the circle. So maybe I'll fill the dots in last, and we'll build it from there now that I've talked it out loud. But let me show you how I did, forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back to me. So the circles on this card. So we have this panel that goes on the base, right? But I need a big circle. I've already cut out of, by paper conserving with another piece on my sample, I cut this little circle out of the middle of another rectangle. So I've got that one ready to go. But I need this circle, and I have this panel that's gonna get covered up. So I'm gonna use my die, and I'm gonna cut it out of the middle, and so that I have my circle. So I'm just gonna actually, I don't need to show you that, I'm just explaining it. So I'm gonna go off to the side really quick and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so I used 2 different sizes of dies, so that, because here's a solid, I have a solid size, but because I want to use the vellum behind it, I stuck another smaller die inside of it when I ran it through the Big Shot. So now I have kind of my external circle, and then I have a circle I can use later on something else. So I'm going to set that aside. And here's my vellum circle, which I've already pre-cut, which is going to go behind this. So let's just kind of build this quickly, and then, like I said, we can add our dots later. Okay, let's see here. I'm missing a lot of conversation, but I'll go back and watch it later. That's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna just build our stack, if you will. So I'm gonna put this on top of there. Sorry, gotta move it up again. I'm gonna put this on top of there. I'm using my art glitter glue again. Depending on how heavily you use the stencil, the lunar paste, you may get a little tiny bit of warping of your panel, but it's not bad at all, actually. And like I said, it does dry really fast. So when I glued this down, I didn't put any glue in the middle because I've made that mistake a million times when I guess there's a tiny bit, when I'm paper conserving, to put my glue all over the place and then I can't pick it up because I've glued it down to my mat. Really smart on my part. Okay, so now I just want to kind of look at where do I want, like what's the orientation I want. So if I'm going to put my sheep and my vellum circle on there, where's my sheep? So if I'm going to do this with her, and then I've got the jingle ba over here, I don't really get very many berries in there, do I? So let's turn it this way. Maybe I'll get more if I go this direction. Maybe not. Let's see. Really depends on how you lay it out. Actually, it looks like I'm going to end up about the same no matter how I do it, unless I move her over a little bit, which is fine. We'll do that. We'll stick her there. We can stick the sentiment up here this time. That'll be great. We're going to do that. So I know I want this to go up there. I know I want her to go there. I'm going to just kind of leave that there so I remember. I just kind of stick a pin in it. And then I'm going to glue this circle down on my vellum. Okay, so there's my vellum circle. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of fun because it gives it like a little bit more of a softness maybe of, you can still see the leaves through it, but it kind of creates a diffusion to some degree. So let's glue this down. And I know I want it kind of up and under there because I decided I was going to go there we go. And then I can pop this down. And I got some glue on there, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to put a sentiment over the top of that. And then this little lovely sweetie pea is going to go on here. And oh darn, look what I just did. I stuck my finger right in the dots. Oh well, I'll fix it later. Pooey. Pooey, pooey, pooey. All right, I'll have to fix my dots on the top later. Okay, set that aside. I'm not putting her down now. I just want to see where she's going to be. But this tells me where I want to put my red pops, my circles. Oh, Isabel. Where did I put them? Oh, here it is. So this tells me where I want to put my dots, my pops of color. So I'm going to put one here. And I'm going to put one here. And I'm going to put one here. Oh, Izzy busy. And I'm going to put one here. And here. And here. Let's move you. And and here. Okay, all right, then I'm going to set that over and we're going to let that dry again. And I'll redo the top of my sweet little lamb in a bit. I'll just stick this over here. Okay, so now we've got this card to work on. And we really just have to do some coloring and we'll get that together. But I gotta let my dog in. All right, come on. Move it, thank you. All right, let's see here. So I have pre-stamped these as well, and I've done the same thing with this in the sense of the paper conserving. So I used this panel and cut 2 circles out of it, and I had another piece that I also cut a circle out of. So same thing there. Here are my, and when you stamp your images, oh heavenly days, where's the other one? When you stamp your images, leave yourself some room to plan to put a circle die around them. And maybe you don't want to use a circle die. Maybe you want to fussy cut them and maybe you have a different circle die. Or maybe you just fussy cut them, put them on a square. I don't know. It's totally your card. This is just what I did. And these are going to color up pretty quickly. I used the T series of markers for these guys. Where is my sample card? Let's put that guy up there. So I used the T series for these cutie patooties. I started by coloring their whole face in T0. So I'm going to do that. The nice thing about Copic coloring on white paper, they need to come up with like a craft colored gel pen. But the nice thing about coloring on white paper is if you go out of the lines a little bit and your color blender won't push it back all the way, you can dot away your boo-boo with your white gel pen. So that's another little tip and trick that I'm happy to share with you. And probably most of you know that. So I'm just getting a wash of color down with the T0. I love the T series. They're just kind of a neat grayish tinge. You know, I guess more of almost like a brownie gray, but not quite like the W series. And they blend so beautifully. I love how the T's blend together. All right, so that was T0. Then I'm going to take a T2 and I'm going to put a little bit of shading in on the bottom and around the side of the face and under the ear a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my T1 and I'm going to just smooth out that blending a little bit. Then I'm going to grab my T0 one more time and I'm going to really pull it out. And if you want to do a second, like I'm usually a do it once and done, but if you wanted to add the shading again, you could take, now that your paper is pretty saturated, you could take it again and go over it one more time. And it will blend in pretty nicely too. So that's what I'm doing with, oh thanks Cheryl, that's what I'm doing with their faces. So I started with the T0 and then I am coming in with the T2 and I'm keeping all the darkest parts of their faces on the same side, like the bigger parts of their faces on the same side and under their ears, and then their caps, where they have the caps, I'm filling that in. Then I'm taking the T1 and going kind of over the top of that a little bit, not completely over the top, and extending it a little bit more. And then I'm grabbing the T0 again, and you use your gel pen. Yeah, exactly. That is like the saving grace of the white gel pen for sure. In fact, that's the whole reason I got it initially, and then I found out all the other things you could do with it, and I'm like, yes. Okay, so that's the T0. And one more time, I'll take the T2, and I'll just, since my paper's saturated, I'll go in and fill in a little bit more, okay? And then I'm gonna grab this one. Oh, I'm so sorry, did you see that? I hope so. Hope it wasn't off frame. Okay, last one, again, darkest parts here and here, under the hat for sure. You've definitely got shading under the hat. T2, T1, and then T0 again. Shoot, I wanted to be done by the time Kimmie was doing bingo, but if you need to drop off, please do so. You'll have the video to come back to. Most of what's left, of course, after we get done coloring is the assembly, which is not very much at all. Honestly, at this point, it's going to go together pretty quickly, but please feel free to drop off, come back and visit when you're done. Good luck with bingo. I know we have just a couple minutes, but I don't want anybody to miss out because that's so much fun. Okay, and I did go out of the line. I'll get that later. So then my scarf colors, I chose to Carla. Yeah, Carla. She's a good little enabler, and you know, I'm thankful for enablers, because how would I know this stuff if somebody didn't show me? Okay, so I am using YG 45 and 41 for the green, and then I'm using 65, RV 66, and 55 for the pinks on the scarves. So I started with I'll start with this guy over here, and I'm going to start with the green. And they're not very big chunks of things, so I don't worry terribly a lot about putting shading in. So then I'd have fuchsia pink, green, but I leave a little space for it, you know, so that I can fill it in and go over it again. Then fuchsia pink, green. When I did this at home the first time, fuchsia pink, green, I did every color individually, because often when I'm coloring like this I lose track of what's next. So I colored every one so I wouldn't lose track of it. But this time I'm risking it. Fuchsia pink, green. You can see I'm leaving like a white space that I'm going to fill in with the lighter color. Fuchsia pink, green. And then I'll go over it again at the end, fuchsia pink, green. Okay, oops, I messed up on the end, but that's all right. It'll be a little different. Okay, then I'm going to take the YG41. I'm going to go over this, and again, just two different greens, right? It doesn't have to be the exact shade of the green of your foil cardstock if you're using a foil cardstock, or whatever color you're coloring. So if you're coloring in blue, same idea. So I'm just kind of putting, and you see that this lighter color pushes back the darker color. And then I'm going to grab the darker again, come in from the sides, and go mostly over where it pushed back. Just want to leave the illusion of, you know, a brighter spot, if you will. There we go. There. Looks like I'm being a little messy. Yep, side by side, exactly, Patty. That's how it goes. So when you're doing it at home, you just got to do it the way that works best for you. Now these two colors, I just am doing, this is the RV66, and I'm just doing a coat And then I'm going to come back and do, after it sets a bit, do another coat just in part of an area. So pink fuchsia, so that I get the darker shading. There is like an RV63, which is fun to use with it, you know, the next shade, pink fuchsia, that you could use to get the variation. Oops, I'm really going outside the lines a lot today. White gel pen to the rescue. Okay. And it looks like we're going to end up this time with a fuchsia colored palm, so that's okay. I think I varied it before, but I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. It's fine. It's going to be cute. It'll be different from the first one, so let that be. I'll use the lighter. This was the RV55 as my last pink. Okay, and then the nose and eyes I'll do in the gel pen. So this is our next one. This time I'll start with the fuchsia, I call it. So it would be fuchsia, green, pink, green, fuchsia, I guess. Oh, I think I might have just messed that up, but that's okay. Okay, while I've got this out, we'll start on her too. So, whoops, that's all right. We're gonna do her a little differently this time, I guess. I goofed. Okay, set her aside. Now let's grab the other pink, and I want to do pink in the middle. And I'm going to do green the rest of the way. It looks like I forgot to grab the colors I used for the bells, so I'll tell you what I used was an E97 and a Y15 to make the bells, and I don't have them with me, so I'll have to color them up later. I apologize for that. And now the scarf, we'll do the scarf, and it's just mostly pink. So I'm going to just come in and color everything pink. So in some sense, this is kind of your non-traditional Christmas colors, that if you are coloring these same colors, or you want a combo to use for the challenge number 3, which is non-traditional Christmas colors, pinks and purples are definitely, well, I think they're traditional because I love them, but they're definitely non-traditional colors. So I'm going to do kind of a fade from the end with this darker fuchsia color. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to do that. And we're going to fade it in. And pull it out. So they're not exactly in the same color family, so they don't blend perfectly, but they do look pretty cool together, I think. Okay, and then I'm just gonna get a little bit of darker, another like hit around the face where I would envision shading to be, and under the ears. Then I'm going to take this darker color again, and I'm going to come under here a little bit. That was a little wider than I wanted to go, but oh well. And I'm just gonna fill that in again. Yes, please do, Kim, please do. I told everybody, I'm so sorry I wasn't done, but I told everybody to please jump on off, go do bingo, and I'll finish coloring, and they can watch the coloring part later. And I'll just keep going, because so that way the video will keep working and we're good to go. So please go enjoy bingo. Okay, we're gonna set her aside, let her set a bit. I'm gonna come back in on this guy because I wanna add a little bit of darker colors here and there. Thanks, Kathy. Yes, pop in later if I'm still going. I hope not. I hope I'm done soon, but definitely check out the video. So I'm just filling in some of these lower spots again with a little bit more color. And then I'm doing the same with the pinks and the fuchsia. And then the pinks. So just adding that second coat, if you will, really gives it just a little bit more definition. And I kind of went into the lines on that guy, so I'm gonna do it that way. Okay, I don't have the colors for the bells. I apologize. I'll get those a little bit later. Every one of these is going to have black noses and eyes, so, but I'm going to run them through the die cut machine really quick and get my circles. So I'm just going to do that off. I know I do too, Patty. I love them. They're my favorite. I use them all the time. So I'm just going to, so this one I know fits there. I'm just going to run them through really quick, and then we'll be good to go with the rest of our stuff. So I'm going to do that offline real fast here. There's one. Let's see here. It looks like I need to go get that one goes. I'm gonna make sure I got the right ones here. So this one goes on here perfectly. Okay, this one is, nope, not that guy. Okay, gotta go get two other dies. Alrighty, let's gotta make sure I got the right ones. There's that guy. Okay, so I've got my 3 dies, and they are all gonna match up on Ooh, let's see, what did I do here? That guy, there goes there. And that one goes there. So there we go. So I've already pre-cut my green circles. I've got those on there. I'm gonna wait and put the black gel pen on them until after I glue everything down. But I'm gonna quickly fix my boo-boos with my white gel pen. You can, the other fun thing about white gel pens is you can add definition, which I've seen lots of folks do, which is kind of fun. There we go. Okay, so let's get these together. All right, so I'm just gonna let them set for a second. I'm gonna grab my background that we made, this fun background. And this time I might play around with reversing the order of the circles a little bit, just to see if I like it that way. Kind of depends on how you cut out your shapes too. Like if you, you know, if you left a little bit of extra room at the top of the hat or something. So I'm just gonna mess around and see if I like the reverse order maybe a little bit. It's pretty fun. We could do that. We could kind of layer them up a little bit. Yeah, we could do that. Let's just kind of go with that and see how we end up, shall we? Okay, so that's kind of where I want them. I want to pop her up. Where is my glue? Here's my glue. So let's grab this guy and put him down. Slide him under here a little bit. If I can get my fingernails to work. There we go. Okay, and then this one next. So we're going to slide this one under a little bit. Not too much, just a little. Then this one goes on the top and it's going to be popped up. So let me grab some of my foam pieces and we're going to pop it up. I forgot to grab my foam tape, so I'm just winging it with these little dots here. Sorry, I'm peeling foam dots here. hoping to be done soon. Quiet pause, you wonder if the video died, so I'll fill the space. Let's see, I'm almost there. Got one in the middle that doesn't want to release. Okay, and again, the little trick of adding the glue to the dots or the glue tape, foam tape, just so you have a little bit of extra wiggle room. If you plunk it down in the wrong place, I meant crafty ASMR. What does crafty ASMR mean? What's that mean, Patty? Fill me in. Okay, so we're gonna let her hang just a little bit over the edge too. Wonderful, I kind of like that. So they're gonna be a little different orientation, but I like both of them. We're going to put it on the base. So we have a white base. I've got it side folded. You could do top or side. I'm gonna put the, come on you. I'm going to put the foil piece down first, and then the other piece on top. What does crafty ASMR mean? What did I miss? Okay, let's see here. So this is going to go on the base, and it's just going to cover up the whole base. I'm looking to make sure, I'm trying to make sure I don't have a bunch of white sticking out. Got a little bit of glue on there that I'll scrape off later. So it looks like we did pretty good on that, or I did anyway. Then I'm going to put this on top of it. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to just drop that down over the top of it. We're going to wiggle it into place a little bit because I want to see the stitching all the way around. Ta-da! There's that. Now I'm going to grab my black gel pen. Before my black gel pen, I'm going to give this little sweet pea a couple of eyelashes. I like her to have some eyelashes. Oh, she's so cute. All right, then we're going to put, ASM is the sound, the mic. Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, perfect. I did not know that. Thank you, Patty. Okay, so I'm gonna give these guys, I'm just gonna give them a little bit shinier eyes and shinier noses, because it's kind of all about the shine on this card. We got the shine from the lunar paste. We got the shine from the foil, and we have the shine on their noses and eyes. So we're gonna let that. I do know what you mean now that you say that, Patty, though. I'm thinking about times when there's been that pause and I've kind of experienced that little bit of tingly feeling. So I'm gonna color that later since I don't have it and I wanna save time for us to finish the others. And then when the black dries, I give them a dot on the eyes. I did pick the winter, I did Winter Wonderland for the sentiment, and this time, and I'll still put the sentiment across the bottom here. I'll stamp that out, but let's see if we can get the other two kind of mostly put together, shall we? Let's just see what we can do. So we are gonna grab our, this is our panel we did initially, and it's a tiny bit tacky still, but I think we'll be okay. So we have our craft base, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this rectangle down on there. Gosh, I have to keep scooching up. I think my phone keeps sliding down and it's lower and lower in the bracket while I'm talking, because it feels like I have to keep stretching further and further to get up in frame for you guys. All right, I'm going to put this down, try to cover up all the spots of the cardstock as much as possible. Then I'm going to take this panel and I'm going to put it over the top of that. And I'm going to just fit it in there so that I can see some of the stitching still. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wiggle it in there a little bit, get it where I want it, let it sit down. Then let's see, we prepped our pretty little piece here, and I didn't put a sentiment on this one because I don't know, I just liked the way it was. I thought you could put the sentiment on the inside instead. So, and I didn't pop her up, but you sure could. You could sure use some thinner foam tape to pop her up, but I didn't. Oh, darn it. I just closed my glue and I need it. Here we go. Okay, let's just kind of pop her up. And so I'm really glad this time I remembered to not put the pops of color on the berries where I wanted to put this, because it really was kind of a challenge to get it to glue down before when I did that. So there's her, and let's see, she gets a little dot of white on her eyes too, and hopefully this is gonna work. Just right up in the corner, plunk. There we go. And she is done. Isn't she adorable? I think she's really, really cute. I love her. See the shimmer and the shine? It's just really sweet. I love her. Okay, now let's do, let's finish this card. We got lots of pieces and parts for that one to do. So let's see, I've got my cardstock base again, and this time I'm gonna do it side fold, but you know, top opening, I guess is how to describe it. And this one we needed our, oh, here we go. So we already built this panel, so we're going to glue this panel on there. Here we go. Oops, upside down. There we go. So just want to kind of look, eyeball it. You could use grid, you know, your grid paper a little more exactly, but just kind of want an even border all the way around. I'm going to stand up to see if I got it. Sometimes when I'm sitting, it looks straight, and when I stand up, it's like, man, that's really crooked, but I think I got it pretty good there. So we'll go ahead and we'll add our sheep to this, and I'm just going to put her, I want to be able to see the berries a little bit, so I'm going to put her up just a tiny bit more. I'm going to pop her up with foam tape, and I don't want to pick off a million of these, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's see here. So these are a little bit thinner. I'm using, move this out of the way here. These are a little bit thinner foam squares that I got. They're pretty cool. I usually use foam tape. It's a lot faster to just whack a piece off, but I didn't grab it. I always forget something in these lives. And you get to the point where you're like, man, I don't want to have to keep running back in the bedroom to grab them, so we'll just do it this way. I want to give it a good pop. I'll have to fix her berries, but I'll get them. So we'll pull these off. I don't know. I know there's not many of you. Is the sheep available to purchase as a stamp, or was she? Oh no, the sheep is definitely available as a stamp. Yes, Mary. This whole set, winter, woolly Wonderland. This is the stamp set. And she is definitely out there. In fact, it's 50% off right now. Kim put it on 50% off. So it's a fantastic deal. And I don't know if you were part in the group earlier, but I said that one of the really great things about this stamp set is that you can put if you're using a stamp positioner, a block works too, but if you're using a stamp positioner, it's even easier. You put the body of the sheep down, and then you can fit 3 of the faces inside the body and just stamp once. It's really cool. I love it. Okay, so I want a little bit of the berry to peek out. So I'm going to put that down. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm going to quickly stamp. Yep, thanks, Patty. Thank you for doing that. I'm just going to quickly stamp the sentiment, which is Jingle Ball in this case. And I used Marvelous Mocha ink for that. So I just need a little piece of scrap craft so that I can do that. And I generally, let's see here, I don't know, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm gonna move this up again. Not that watching me stamp is super fun, but I'm just gonna get it in here. I wanna make sure I've got room to use my circle die. And I have my Marvelous Mocha. And it's kind of dry because I haven't put my refill in it, so I may have to do this a couple of times, but it's kind of like the whole Copic thing. It's like if you are good about keeping your ink pads and your Copics refilled, which I am not, you don't have to do that so many times, but there we go. I got a nice, good, dark image. And then I just use a microfiber cloth, a damp microfiber cloth to clean off the ink, and it works fantastic. Then I'm gonna go off to the side and get a circle shape and quickly cut out the circle sentiment for that so I can pop it on there. Make sure I've got the right one. Looks like I need one more. Right, so here is Jingle Ball. Yep, there we go. I'm just gonna put that right on there. You could pop that up too, but totally up to you. So let's get that on there, cover up my glue boo-boo. And there's that, minus the little correction I need to make on the berry over there. So there's that card. So we have 2 down. Actually, we made all 3. I just have to get my sentiment together on the Winter Wonderland. So let's just quickly review what we did today. So we have this really cute card where we use the embossing, the vellum, the lunar paste, all kinds of fun stuff. So there's our two versions there. Very fuzzy, very fun. Isn't that cute? You can see how the face kind of pops up. And then we have this adorable card. This is the one we made today. This is the one I made before. Slightly different, again, very fun. Looks like I have more of a division line on this one, but that's really fun too. So there's those two. And then we also made this wonderful card, and I gotta finish a couple things, I apologize, but this is the original. We switched it up a little bit today, and we put the bigger circle on the bottom, and I need to add the sentiment on there, but again, we use lunar paste and Copics, gel pens, all kinds of really fun stuff. So thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Patty. I hope you learned something fun today. I hope I gave you some fun tips and tricks. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the event, and thank you very much again for being with me. Big hugs.